The audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small, and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Film Foundations, the collaborative show between Weirding Way Media and Someone's Favorite Productions. I'm your co-host from the Disc-Connected, Ryan Verrill.
And I'm your other co-host, Chris Stashew, from the Culture Cast and Weirding Way Media, where we have, in fact, covered a lot of these movies we're about to talk about, folks.
On this show, we ask and answer 4 questions about a given topic that is surrounding either an actor, franchise, microgenre, or like today's subject, a director. Today we are talking about Rob Zombie. Our job is to entice you to broaden your horizons on film, encourage you to travel down film tangents and side roads that you may never have traveled down otherwise. Just be careful not to park somewhere in the deep woods, as we're going to discuss in one of his first films. Rob Zombie, Chris. A lot of people hate Rob Zombie. How do you feel about Rob Zombie?
He leads with the... Ooh, he's leading with the heat. I don't hate Rob Zombie. Let's just get this out of the way now. I think to your point, and I think this is probably the first really challenging episode we've had of this show in terms of our subject material. Because to your point, to say to someone... Well, let me convince you to watch a Rob Zombie movie. I would say that in the same breath, that's probably as hard to do if they're not already into it as it would be to try and convince someone to watch an Eli Roth film. In terms of just like how specific they are made by the specific person who's making them for a specific kind of audience that person already knows they've tapped into. And with Rob Zombie going from music to film, the kind of music that he makes is so specifically him that the kind of movie that he makes is in that same vein. So there's a little bit of crossover there that makes it easier. But I think for me, Rob Zombie, this is going to be an interesting episode because I don't hate Rob Zombie. I don't necessarily resonate with everything that he works on. There are some things that are more tolerable than others, I think is a nice way of putting it, being diplomatic. Because again, I know that there are plenty of people, John Carpenter included, who think that Rob Zombie, ruined certain franchises. I don't think he ruined the franchise. I think David Gordon Green did, if you want my opinion. So there you go. I mean, what's funny is Rob Zombie took a lot of heat for Halloween 1 and 2. And I don't think now, given what we ended up getting in response to that, I don't think that it was as deserved as it was, because I think Rob Zombie, if anything, he is very much himself as a filmmaker, and I really respect that. If I don't like his movies, that's one thing. If they don't resonate with me, it's another. But I can respect someone very similar to Robert Rodriguez who walks to the beat of his own drum, and he's the one banging said drum, and he's never out of step with his own drum. He's doing, even up into the thing that I think a lot of people roasted him for, I think even then he's making something that is definitely him and something that he loves. So, yeah, I think Rob Zombie's an interesting cat. And I like White Zombie a lot. So, White Zombie and his music are fantastic. I would love to see Rob Zombie in concert. I haven't had the opportunity to yet, but I would like to. So, that's the thing. I'm amenable to his music. I think his movies just... I don't know. I'm not necessarily looking to get grimy with every movie I watch. And Rob Zombie brings that grime, baby. that grime and that dirt and that Bill Moseley. I mean, I do love Bill Moseley, so there is that. And I will say, similarly to Tarantino, Rob Zombie highlights people that don't get enough attention. And he casts people that would not be leads in movies otherwise as leads in his movies. And there's one specific person in particular that I would mention. And that's the other thing. I guess the other question I have to answer before I let you speak at this point, even though you were the one who wanted to do this, I feel like we can't have this conversation without talking about Sherry Moon Zombie.
So before you say the next sentence, I want to carry where you're going with her to contrast something you said just a minute ago. I think Rob Zombie's more hated than Eli Roth. So I disagree with the very first thing that you said, because
You think so?
Oh, yes, because everybody knows that in every Rob Zombie movie, you're getting Sherry Moon Zombie, and everybody has hated her except for in 2 of these films. Literally, everybody always hates having her in these movies.
I actually wasn't going to say that she's terrible. I just think that her, like, your mileage with someone like her will vary. And that's the thing. Like, look, I know what you thought I was going to say. And to be fair, like 9 times out of 10, you'd be right.
No, I'm talking consensus. I'm saying most people hate Rob Zombie more because they know that they are also having Sherry Moon Zombie be a part of that.
Interesting. I mean, look, I think Rob Zombie clearly loves his wife, right? We both agree there. And, like, I'm sure he thinks that she ropes the moon, and she probably does, just like the way we all think about our spouses. So Rob Zombie's no different. However, I don't put my wife on screen in a multi-million-dollar movie that I'm making. And Rob Zombie does. Is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. That's not my decision to make objectively. I will say sometimes she's great, sometimes she's not, and I think that the real kind of problem is dividing the movie fractionally. If she's in the movie less but good, I'm fine. If she's in the movie and she's not great and it's her the whole time, yeah, that can kind of be a problem. But look, that's the same with like anybody, any character actor. And that's the thing, like, you know, it's a little bit of a wrestling thing. Like, she's the wife of Rob Zombie, just like Triple H is married to Stephanie McMahon, whose dad owns the company. Like, they're both creative and talented in their own rights. But yes, it does benefit you to be married to someone who makes movies that thinks that you rope the moon. I'm not saying she does or doesn't, but he thinks she does, and that's all that matters. Because that's why she's in, like you said, literally everything. Not even hyperbolically. She is literally in everything, and in a lot of the things, she is the focus.
I mean, I would almost say everything. She's the focus. There's not much that she plays back fiddle in at all.
Halloween, but that's because she has to.
She's not Michael Myers, but she's Michael Myers' mom.
Yeah, but she also like has. My point is like, yeah, she has to because like she's. Right. If she could have been, look, there's a universe where he was like, can I just cast my wife as Laurie Strode? Boy, we'll talk about something that really pissed the fans off. Like, oof, I kind of want to see that now. Give me that movie.
It'd be fun.
I mean, that would be fun. It sure would be. That's the thing. If anything, for me, Rob Zombie's movies are fun. They're just not necessarily my kind of fun. And that's okay, because there are plenty of comedies out there that aren't my kind of comedy either. And I can't say that they're objectively bad because I subjectively don't laugh at them. So Same with Rob Zombie's stuff. Look, he's hacking people to bits, having Bill Moseley say "motherfucker" all the time. And some of those things I resonate with and some of them I don't. So what about you, Ryan? Why are we talking about Rob Zombie?
It's a good question. I don't really know. I've been somebody that has seen most of his films. I've had to check in on a couple over the last year or so just to get caught up and make sure that I'd seen them all. And even then, I still don't know if I've seen the animated Haunted World of El Super Bisto. I can't remember if I've seen that. I know I had it on physical media at one point. That memory has escaped me. It was like a $3 Walmart bin title for the longest time.
I think I got it from one of those, I think I've alluded to it before, those DVD trading through the mail things, I think.
Yep.
So it was like 2009, so Yeah, kind of in the early days of me. Well, I guess like the middle days of me buying physical media. I too have never seen it. So if anybody's a fan of that, sorry, that's like the one thing we can't talk about, guys.
So yeah, I'd seen these from pretty early on. I saw House of a Thousand Corpses, which is his first film, fairly early. And the big thing for me is not only did I know Rob Zombie's music, so I was already sort of like, oh, this is a novelty. Let's see what happens here. Pretty much everybody in that movie were people that I was interested in, at least knowing. I mean, so many people forget that our two main males that are in the beginning part of the story are Dwight Schrute from The Office and the guy that talked to us about The Walking Dead after every episode. It's so random that those are our two men that we're following in the beginning part of the story. But then, Bill Moseley, Sid Haig, there are other giant titles of people that have been in cult films for years, literally decades before this, that are coming out and being in like this resurgence piece. Essentially, he's done that in pretty much all of his films. He's gotten somebody that used to be a great actor and they haven't been in much. Now he's like, hey, come back and do this weird bit part and you'll be amazing in it and it'll be incredible. So yeah, saw that early. Liked it quite a bit, and then found out they were doing a sequel, went and saw The Devil's Rejects, and it's a very, very different movie, obviously. It's tonally nowhere near the same as the first. It got very different very quickly. Liked it quite a bit. It was very clear that he got more money after House of a Thousand Corpses, and it was a very different stylized movie because of that. Following that, when you're going to come out and make a title like Halloween after it's already been made, I'm going to be at least interested to see it. And I was never anti-Halloween like a lot of people. I don't think it's a bad remake. I think it's well done.
His Halloween. I was like,
correct.
Just in general.
The only thing that I think that I've agreed with some people on is the whole lead-in part where we see like the bulk of the backstory for Michael Myers. It's
the William
a little long.
Forsythe of it all, you mean?
No, and I like him in it.
No, but
too.
like that, you mean you're talking about like the literal like 20 minutes of his movie that is his part of the movie.
Just not just him, but like him getting bullied by other kids and his mom and his everybody basically. Right. It's a lot of backstory, and people are like, we don't need backstory in our plots, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I understand that the first one is a big deal for everybody, and they basically get right to the hack and slash, which cool. But he went a different way, and a lot of people hate it because of the dialogue in this, which is going to be the one thing that I will say all day long here. Rob Zombie does have a problem with dialogue. A lot of it is not great.
What?
I don't think anybody would argue that.
I mean, like Bill Moseley saying motherfucker over and over again is pretty great, though. Motherfucker. I mean, Bill Moseley saying motherfucker, just have that be your movie, Rob. Just make that your movie.
I'd pay to see it somehow.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, he makes Halloween, then that Haunted World of El Super Beasto comes out, and then he makes Halloween 2, which is even more divisive. People don't like it because it comes out as this weird, there's white horses and Sherry Moon zombies and Angel and who knows what the fuck's going on. And I have always loved this movie. I think this is one of his best movies, actually. It's
wild.
It's like a backwoods art house movie in the best of ways. I love it. Following that's The Lords of Salem. I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point today. Then he did like this weird crowdfunding thing for 31. I just saw that earlier this year. Interesting. Not my favorite in all of this. And then of course he had to get back to give some fan service, and he's like, let's bring the gang back together from The Devil's Rejects. And he props Sid Haig up for the first 40 seconds of this movie, and he makes 3 from Hell. And it's, again, a tonally very different movie from the first 2 films. And all that leads to 2022's The Munsters, which, again, gets absolutely roasted by the public I'm sure we're going to talk about it at some point today, for basically no reason. I still think people complaining about this have only seen the shitty trailer that Netflix released.
I'll leave my feelings on The Munsters until we start answering the questions.
That's what I thought. There's a lot here. And this filmography is, like you said, dirty, crass, very backwoods, very like Hicksploitation in some of these. And Rob Zombie comes across at the end of it literally as an auteur. Every single one of his movies is unapologetically a Rob Zombie movie. And not only just because Sherry Moon Zombie is there, but because you could be thrown into any of these universes and say, I know Rob Zombie's around here somewhere. Where is he? So that we can figure this out. Because they all have that exact same feeling. And that's a good thing. He's proven to be a very competent filmmaker. Is he one of the best in the world? Clearly not, but he is great at what he does. And I think that he deserves a lot more credit than the hate that he has gotten.
I think he might be the best musician turned filmmaker.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else even? Like, there's a lot the other direction.
Spider-1 is trying to do it. He's made at least one. Spider-1.
I guess technically the guys who directed Talk to Me are they're like a rap group, I think. In like the Philippines. So I guess that's talk about a pretty good showing as a musician.
Spider-1 is the guy from Power Man 5000. He is, what's funny, the younger brother of Rob Zombie. That's why that was a joke.
Oh, okay. I was like, I've not listened to a single Power Man 5000 song. That's probably
he's directed 3 different movies now.
Oh, nice.
Or he's directed 2 and he's working on a 3rd right now. I mean,
if there've been, I guess the better way of putting it is there anybody as high profile as Rob Zombie?
Oh God, no.
Like he's like it would be like,
let's say we're probably forgetting somebody
movie.
very obvious. Just to get ahead of the comments, we're probably forgetting some random ass like, well, duh, yeah.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind the scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, and let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Well, it would be like, I don't know, like that's the thing, like Rob Zombie is the lead singer of White Zombie, but also the lead singer of his own act, Rob Zombie. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying, like he's pretty high profile to be directing movies, which is the thing that's always struck me too, is like Rob Zombie, for everything I've seen about him, seems like a pretty humble guy too, on top of everything else. Like, he is the purveyor of a very specific kind of music that only really he makes. At least, not in general, but just like at the level that he's making it. There's nobody else doing what he's doing at that level. He's like Marilyn Manson, right? Like, there are people that are doing what Marilyn Manson kind of pioneered, but there's nobody who is Marilyn Manson. And I'm saying, Marilyn Manson's problematic, obviously, but Rob Zombie's thankfully also not problematic at all, by the way. Have we talk about things that are like kind of shocking? Also, been married to Sherry Moon Zombie for quite a while, which is also shocking in this industry. That's the thing. Like, people may not like Rob Zombie's movies, but him as a human being, shockingly humble and shockingly unproblematic, given that he's been in 2 worlds that are full of people that have problems. The film and music industries aren't known for having people that are necessarily great. So, and again, the even funnier thing is look at the stuff that he makes compared to the person that he is. Like, the things that he makes are grimy and gross, and then he's just kind of like a dude, which is, again, like, I kind of appreciate. Rob Zombie just seems very much like a fan of these things, doing these things because he's a fan, which I personally, similarly to James Gunn and some other directors, like, they're making movies that they want to watch, which I appreciate, so...
I'm glad. I went and tried to do a quick Google, and basically Some people have directed like 1 or 2 movies. Like Frank Sinatra's done 1 or 2. Jason Schwartzman, he's done some. He's from Phantom Planet.
Yeah,
David Bowie directed a couple. Bob Dylan directed 1.
They weren't being handed the keys to Halloween, though.
Not like this.
Yeah, I mean, really, and that's the other thing. When Halloween came out, like, it came out smack dab at a time when horror remakes were a thing. So it was like it was that certain times, like, because we've had like cycles of remakes and we've gotten subsequent second cycle of Halloween. But in 2007, when this came out, it would have been coming out around the same time as Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and and a couple years after Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So Halloween, like, that's a big deal at the time that Rob Zombie's being given it. So yeah, like, I think really we may have even undersold how big of a deal Rob Zombie being as successful as he has been, even in spite of the general consensus, I guess, is that alone needs to be applauded. Even if you don't resonate with his movies, like, he needs to be respected as a filmmaker, I think.
I would agree there. Fully agree. The films that he has put out, they are pretty much all of the horror variety or horror adjacent, which I understand is not necessarily everyone's cup of tea. So as this is a show to get people to try new things, I will say if you were just strictly anti-horror, this episode's going to not be the greatest. But I think this is somebody that we will probably not be hard-pressed to find a lot of people who have never seen any of his films that have mostly been turned off by the reputation of his films. So I think there's quite a few that could potentially be swayed by the way that we are going to be able to talk about him today.
Well, and again, like, there is one movie on here that I think you could show to kids even. So, like, again, like, but again, like, it is really, like, kind of to what you've alluded to, like, it is the sole outlier in like, again, maybe the animated movie is that way, but like, I kind of doubt it given just what the poster looks like. Yeah, like, that's the weird thing. Like, I agree with you except for this one thing. But that's the problem. Like, it is the exception that proves the rule. But yeah, this is going to be a tough episode for if you're not into horror filmmaking or exploitation filmmaking either.
Well, why don't we start talking about that title? So I'll ask the question so we can discuss it. Chris, what do you consider to be the foundational title for Rob Zombie?
I think in terms of things that are the foundational title, it's House of a Thousand Corpses, obviously. I think that's the obvious answer. It's not only the obvious answer, it's the right answer. Because the tone of the movie ends up showing back up in a lighthearted form in the Munsters. And that, like, the weird tone of House of a Thousand Corpses where it's kind of slapsticky at times, it's not really there in Devil's Rejects. And 3 from Hell, honestly, for me, less said about that movie, the better. I think that is the weakest of the 3 of those movies.
By far.
Yeah, and not just by far, but like you said the Sid Haig thing, like, that rubbed me the wrong way. And I think it wasn't just me that it rubbed the wrong way. I think it was a lot of people. And I understand why Rob Zombie did it, but look, I'm not the biggest fan of House of a Thousand Corpses, but in terms of it being the one that I would put on over the other movies of that trio, it would be that one. And in terms of the other movie of his that I might put on over there's 2 other ones. House of a Thousand Corpses, I think, is scary enough and has enough of the horror sensibilities that he's going to start injecting into more things. And like vacillating, I think Rob Zombie's good at vacillating easily between horror, slapstick, and exploitation. But like, again, like, he's making his own kind of mix of things. Again, like we talked about, it's Rob Zombie movies are Rob Zombie movies. That's what they are. So you know what you're getting. And I think House of a Thousand Corpses, for someone who had never really directed anything before, but makes his own movie that he writes and directs and does the music for, it's a movie that, like, it's pretty important for a whole host of reasons, because he is still working in the industry today because of how successful that movie was initially. And again, I think that Rob Zombie clearly is a very funny person, or at least has a good sense of humor. And when he gets to something like The Munsters, which you've already mentioned is critically reviled for no reason, I know you and me, I kind of alluded to Munsters being my answer here, but it can't be. There's no way I could in good conscience say the Munsters because it is so unlike everything else. But it isn't. It is, but it isn't. If you've been watching Rob Zombie's stuff this whole time, you shouldn't be surprised that he loves classic monster stuff, including the classic monster show of classic monster shows, which is the Munsters. So look, House of a Thousand Corpses isn't necessarily my favorite Rob Zombie movie, but it's the one that has to be watched first because you will understand kind of what you're getting yourself into and the varying degrees at which the things you will see lean into the different areas of the world that Rob Zombie clearly loves and resonate with him to the point where he's essentially, I wouldn't say aping, because that's more of a thing I would use for someone like Tarantino where he's full on copying. I would say Zombie is clearly influenced by a certain time and a place and a certain kind of filmmaking. So yeah, that's my answer. House of a Thousand Corpses. What do you think, Ryan?
I can't argue with this. I definitely was trying to come up with something else, but this movie is incredible. To have this be his first movie from being a musician to go to this is wild. So I alluded to some of the plot and some of the cast earlier, but just to go into some of this again is just crazy. So this has Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, Sherry Moon Zombie, Karen Black is in this, Rainn Wilson's in this, Chris Hardwick's in this, Aaron Daniels is in this, Walton Goggins is in this.
The Goggs is in this movie,
The Goggs.
baby.
I can't wait till we do our Walton Goggins episode. This is about a group of teens who are on a big road trip, and they are basically just kidnapped and tortured by a family. And this family is psychotic, and it is really hard to even explain how psychotic until you see this movie. It is one of those things where, yes, it is gory, it is visceral, it is pretty brutal, and so if you are new to horror, this is going to be fairly off-putting. So I completely get that. There is a lot about this that would make people upset to watch, period. However, if you are interested in it, or you hear today's episode and you're like, some of this sounds decent, maybe I could check this out, I really think that this is the one that could explain who he is as a filmmaker and really have you go, do I really want to watch Halloween 2? I should watch House of a Thousand Corpses first, because there's so much in this that is just really the best of him as a filmmaker. It is crazy how much he knocked it out of the park on that very first try.
I think it's his best movie, like, realistically. Like,
I don't, but
really?
I do think, oh yeah.
I mean, I just think, like, in terms of, like, the distillation of Rob Zombie down into, like, pure Rob Zombie, maybe, I guess, because that's not our answer. We never answer the question of what's his best movie outright. Nope. So what do you think his best movie is then? I'm so curious.
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, it's an answer. Oh, okay, cool. Interesting. Okay. Well, I wonder what your answer is then, because like you've already mentioned, looking at his list, there is really only one thing that's not horror. But it is kind of, again, like as much horror as I think the mainstream is capable accepting, which is Frankenstein laughing. Ha ha! You know, like
it's still very much horror. It's just it's like horror adjacent. It's one of those like odd subgenres of horror.
Yeah, it's like the Addams Family. Like, it's like, is the Addams Family scary? Like, if you find the Addams Family scary, wait till you see the Munsters. Like,
ooh,
yeah, I know, right? Well, that's the thing. But it's like, again, like when you talk about the guy who has made horror movies that I don't think are scary per se, they're just fucking gross and off-putting. To then go to something that is like very not off-putting, like the Munsters, I think is very impressive because, again, like I think the roadmap was there from House of a Thousand Corpses to get to the Munsters. I don't think it was as much of a stretch for him to direct the Munsters as everybody else thought. Like, and that he was going to make it like just essentially the show too. That's the thing. Like, he didn't make like Rob Zombie's The Munsters. It was the Munsters. It wasn't. Wasn't there like a TV show pilot for the Munsters? That was like a real version that had Eddie Izzard and Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Romaine Stamos. Yeah, but it was just like the name. It was like the address of the house. It was like their address.
1313 Mockingbird Lane.
Yeah. And it was like a realistic version of that. It's not even that. Like, the Munsters movie is just the Munsters. I think it's even like technically a prequel to the show. So yeah, it's weird though because Rob Zombie, like for the most part, like it's like it's a horror and it's gross. Like it's just gross, like gross. Like they're like kind of like not gross out movies, but grimy and
Like splatter films.
yeah. House of a Thousand Corpses, I think is it. Like that's the movie. I think if you're gonna start with Rob, I don't know if you could even, in good conscience, say go anywhere else to start. Like it would. What is there even? There's not even another one that you're like, this is it over this one. It's like it's House of a Thousand Corpses. That's it.
Yeah, this is one that I didn't even like. I only struggled with because I wanted to not choose this,
Right? Yeah,
because
same.
it seems like the first movie shouldn't be that because he's not like making an entire franchise of his films. However, he kind of just did like have a voice from the moment he said action, which is wild. Most people cannot say that. Most directors cannot say that. But he also had the ability to front a lot of money and have a lot of things behind him because he had a name and was a huge musician before he did anything. So he had a lot of resources that other people never would have the opportunity to have.
He wasn't on step 1, guys. He was on like
Correct.
step 10. Like like he financed that fucking movie himself. Like. Right or no? No,
he had some buy-in, and one of the studios actually shelved House of a Thousand Corpses,
That's right.
and he bought back the rights and sold it to Lionsgate because I think they were scared of it getting an NC-17. That first studio.
Well, I mean, watch.
I get why.
Yeah, I was like, watch the fucking movie for fuck's sake. I mean, they cut a fair amount out of the movie too, right? Like,
Yeah.
a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I'll say, man, that's the other thing about Rob Zombie's stuff. Before we go any further, like the fact that his stuff gets R ratings, pretty wild. He's like the perfect filmmaker for streaming because like streaming, all bets are off. Like you really can push it and go there. And even if it's like on a Shudder or something, even like Rob. Can you imagine if Rob Zombie was coming up now in the time of Shudder? Jesus Christ, man! Like.
I'll actually say I kind of think he's perfect for theatrical for people that want more brutal movies because he is the guy that has lived in this industry for so long that he knows where the line is and how to push up to the line and then defend himself because he has lived in this industry for so long. And so if somebody comes back and says, you need to make all these cuts, he can be like, nah, fuck you. We ain't doing that. And honestly, sometimes you just need a director to be able to say that.
Yeah. He's got a big pair of brass balls, Rob Zombie.
And there are some directors that have come out and said, we filmed this scene specifically in some random ass movie a little more like risque than we would have, just so when we took it to the MPAA, we would cut that scene and they would feel like they won.
Yep.
And Rob Zombie doesn't have to do that. He knows where to draw the line.
Yeah, I love those stories. Those stories are wild. The MPAA getting baited into shit is funny because fuck the MPAA. That should be the co-subtitle of this show. Film Foundations also fuck the MPAA. I mean, censorship by any other name is just censorship. I mean, call it the MPAA, call it the what's the ESRB, whatever the one for music is. Like nobody cares. Fuck you. Take your moral compass elsewhere. Because again. Telling people what we can and can't watch is very destructive to this because, look, I'm not saying I want to see Rob Zombie eviscerate someone in full detail, but he's not doing that either. Like, all of this is very stylistic. That's the other thing. That's the thing that I think maybe is unfairly leveled against Rob Zombie. There are much grosser movies out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially in terms of just, like, what they're trying to get out of it. Like, I mean, you mentioned Eli. I mentioned Eli Roth, and you said people probably like Rob Zombie less than Eli Roth. Yeah, Eli Roth is that guy in terms of like really just being like fucking gross shit. Here we go, Hostel, like Hostel 1, Hostel 2, Hostel 3, movies about people being tortured. Like, and again, that's not me like having never seen the movies and speaking out of my ass. That's literally all Hostel is, but that's okay. Like, if that's what you're into, cool. But for me, Eli Roth is less defensible than Rob Zombie because at least Rob Zombie, it serves the plot of the movie for the most part. I may not like that there's a very extended rape scene in The Devil's Rejects, but I understand why it's there. With Eli Roth, I'm like, tell me why you're doing this. And he just kind of chuckles and goes, I don't have to. It's like, all right, fine. I mean, I get it. Some people vibe with that too. I just don't.
Completely agree. Well, I'm very, very, very curious to hear how we're going to discuss our two films for question number 2. So, Chris, let's go with yours first. Could you please recommend a
No,
movie for
you
everybody?
go first, buddy, because I want to hear yours. I answered the first one first because I'm curious if we have the same answer here. There's a high possibility. You don't know what our
I know for a fact that we don't.
Okay, what's your answer then?
My answer for our second question.
Should I say it at the same time as you in case they are the same so you don't think I changed mine?
Or you can set it in private chat.
I'll just count us off and we'll see.
Okay.
And then you can just explain yours. All right. 3.
Well, hold on. Just in case this is somebody's first episode ever, our second question is, could you recommend a lesser known gem within the subject that might not be like the best first time watch for somebody new to Rob Zombie? So essentially like something that's a great movie, but if you watch it for the first one, it could turn you off to the rest of Rob Zombie. So let's do it. Go ahead.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Halloween 2.
The Lords of Salem.
Wow. That was not what I was. Wait, if you had another choice, would it be Halloween 2? Would Halloween 2 show up anywhere? Interesting. Wow.
I love Halloween 2, but I will stand on this table right now and shout to the heavens, The Lords of Salem is Rob Zombie's best movie by leaps and bounds over anything else he's ever done.
And that's the one starring his wife. Like
they're all starring his
but
wife.
hold on. They're
all starring his wife, but this is the movie that says Sherry Moon Zombie is a damn fine actor and everybody upset about her, watch this fucking movie.
Ooh, he threw down, guys.
So if you have never seen this movie is fantastic. So let's get into it. This movie is The Devil's Rejects, and of course it is set in Salem, Massachusetts. It's from 2012, and it's this odd supernatural horror movie that's got Sherry Moon Zombie right at the center of it, and it starts bringing in some of his other friends that he hasn't used in some of his other movies yet, but then he uses a lot of. We got Bruce Davison, Jeff Daniel Phillips, Ken Foray, Patricia Quinn, Dee Wallace is in this one, Meg Foster is in this one. It's great, and it is about Sherry Moon Zombie playing a DJ at a hard rock radio station, and they get in this package, and it's this weird wooden box, and she goes and opens it and finds out it's from a band called The Lords, and they listen to the record and things start happening, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, and essentially from the title and from what we're alluding to, you can understand this is a movie about witches, and this whole movie is incredible. I think it's his most straightforward movie. It is his most inviting movie. It is his most his best written dialogue in the entirety of his filmography by a long shot. It's just normal people. It's not a bunch of people working at a radio station saying, "You motherfucker," every 4 words like a lot of his other movies. It is really well written. And what's funny about all that, I'm heaping all this praise about it, you'll notice it is the lesser known gem that could turn people off to him, because if you watch this one first, it's unlike anything else he's ever made. This movie is very not Rob Zombie. However, it is an amazing movie. And if you watch it after you've watched some of his other movies, you will appreciate this so much more. The acting in this is genuinely incredible from everybody. The plot line is interesting from beginning to end. The way that the camera work in this just sort of glides through Salem, like you're fascinated and always drawn to see what's next. I appreciate this movie way more than society itself has given credit for, and I feel like people are absolutely sleeping on The Lords of Salem.
Wow. That is the impassioned defense of a movie I did not expect you to defend.
You're welcome.
Wow, I'm shocked. Gobsmacked. I saw it when it came out. I don't remember it. I mean, this is 12 years ago now. So I need to rewatch it. I don't remember disliking it the way 31 and 3 from Hell are very hard movies. I mean, they're not being talked about for reasons, but 3 from Hell is hard to suggest, which is why it's not mine. Like I kind of said, over Ryan's answer or under Ryan's answer, however we want to interpret it, Halloween 2 is the one for me that I think is Like, I can't in good conscience suggest it for a whole host of reasons. Namely, it's the sequel to another movie. But, dear God, it's a strange film. Dear God, it's such a, like, for as much as Halloween Ends is like the least Halloween movie of that bunch of Halloween movies, Halloween 2 isn't even a Halloween movie in the way that you're expecting it to be. Essentially as a sequel to it's a good sequel to the movie that Rob Zombie made, but it's not a Halloween 2 the way Halloween 2 is Halloween 2, which is fine. That's probably one of the best things about it, is that it is a sequel to the first movie, not just some nonsense, oh, well, Michael shows up again and starts harassing new people. Nope. This is this and this is the story of Laurie Strode and the aftermath of the first movie. So again, like, it's a very weird movie, but you have Tyler Mane playing Michael Myers.
Yep.
Which is like inspired fucking casting, because he's actually gigantic, which works, and he's physically imposing, and it's more about how much of a piece of shit Dr. Loomis is and how crazy Laurie Strode is and how Michael is just, I wouldn't say misunderstood, because he still just murders people. I mean, you know, killing people is one thing, but the scene in the hospital with Octavia Spencer is it's like a lot. And again, like, that's the thing, like, people are always like, oh my God, I love how brutal Terrifier is. Like, have you seen Halloween 2? Because Halloween 2 is a pretty brutal fucking movie. But that's what I like about it, is that it is just kind of so fucking weird. Like, it's weird. It's not really a Halloween movie. It's really more about Laurie Strode and how crazy she is. And like you kind of hinted at already, Sherry Moon Zombie plays a rather large part too, because she is the mother of Michael Myers, but also the mother of Laurie Strode. Right. I think they revealed that at the end of the last movie though, right?
I think so.
Yeah. But Halloween 2, weird movie. Can't really suggest it being the first thing you see, because you have to have seen the first movie to really understand this movie. But if you watch this movie after seeing the first movie, you may not understand it anyways, because it is kind of a weird movie with some weird imagery and some stuff that is very Rob Zombie, which is good. That's what you're there for. If you're watching Rob Zombie stuff, you want Rob Zombie to be Rob Zombie. And Halloween 2 is as Rob Zombie as it gets in terms of just doing whatever the fuck he wants with something that, again, rarely are people handed the keys to the kingdom and they just go, I'm going to do whatever I want. I mean, Rian Johnson did it with Star Wars. We saw how that turned out. Rob Zombie did it with Halloween 2 and was also reviled the same way. I mean, Halloween 2 is not a well-received movie. It's not one that people are going out of their way to defend either. But I think what's funny is, like, there's no sequel to it. The sequel is canceled because Rob Zombie didn't want to do it, because it doesn't need it. Like, the second movie ends the story. The story's over. Like, what are we doing here, guys? And that's the other thing I appreciate about Halloween 2. It actually ends a Michael Myers story satisfyingly in a way that feels like it understands what story it was telling and how it factors into the overall narrative of Michael Myers. I cannot say the same for the most recent movies, and I know that we differ in opinion on that, but I actually think Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2 have aged better since David Gordon Green's stuff has come out, because Rob Zombie's stuff is a unique vision from him as a director, which we don't get to see with stuff like this very often.
I agree with a lot of that. I don't even think comparing them to the David Gordon Green thing is fair, because the Rob Zombie stuff is a remake and the other ones are technically sequels.
I mean,
to the original movie.
That first Halloween is a remake, though.
Not really.
I mean, it is, yes, it isn't, but it is, but it is. It's less of a remake than Force Awakens is of A New Hope, but it is still called Halloween for a reason, because it is it's riffing on the first movie, wouldn't we say?
I mean, in a way, yes, but like,
I mean, you're right. Rob Zombies is a remake. It literally remakes the fucking story. You're right. Like, that is a completely true statement. I will agree with you there.
I also don't revile the David Gordon Green trilogy like you do. But anyways,
The third movie's funny as hell. The third movie's funny. Everything else is just kind of doing what everybody else has done, or Evil Dies Tonight.
Halloween Ends just isn't a Halloween movie.
No, it's hilarious is what it is.
Anyways, so Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I said it earlier and I will say it again. I honestly think it will be, in years, beloved as an art house slasher classic. This movie has elements that we have begged for in other films, and people have turned away from it simply because it is Rob Zombie. And it is really well made. It's really well acted. It's interesting. It's brutal. It's Rob Zombie through and through. One name that you did not say that I absolutely have to give love to, Scout Taylor Compton is amazing in this movie. It made her a fucking star, and she's still huge in the horror scene because of it. This movie is really well made. It would be odd to recommend it as somebody's first film into his entire oeuvre. I agree. And this is a good pick. I think that this is certainly up there in the top tier of Rob Zombie films, with a few others. Because honestly, I don't really think he has any mid-tier films in like the grand scheme of his entire filmography. I feel like he's got a lot of great films, and then there's a chasm in between, and then there's two films at the bottom of that are just vastly inferior to everything else. And I can't defend 31 because it's so different kind of from the way that he made a lot of the other things, because it was crowdfunded, and it's like, if he had actual studio backing, I can imagine this one would have felt a lot better.
It feels crowdfunded, which is the problem.
Yeah.
Super Troopers 2 didn't feel crowdfunded. Another crowdfunded movie, mind you, that came out like a year or two later. And It doesn't feel crowdfunded at all, which I think for me was like one of the most surprising things about that movie. But when I watched 31, I was like, oh yeah, this feels like a movie that somebody else paid for. Like people that like Rob Zombie, which is fine. But like, man, that doesn't feel great to not make a great movie with your fans' money, you know?
So other than that, I would say 3 from Hell is vastly inferior to everything else as well. And that's not saying, again, that I didn't enjoy both of those. I still had a good time watching 31. I still had a good time watching 3 from Hell. I have no desire to go back and watch either one of those, potentially ever. I'm glad I saw them once, but I've no desire to watch them again. Before we go on to this whole pop culture impact question, I think we probably should talk about Devil's Rejects for a minute, because I think that The Devil's Rejects is his most popular film. And I think some people are going to be a little weirded out that we're like glossing over it a little bit. And it's not to say it's not a good movie. It is a damn fine movie. The hard part is that it is potentially like the most like grindhouse type film in his entire filmography. And the way that he is comfortable putting you in awkward, like not just awkward situations, but like you as a viewer are uncomfortable with some of the things happening on screen, which is the point. I'm not taking that away from it. The Devil's Rejects is incredibly well made, but I understand that a lot of people who are new to Rob Zombie would probably not be very happy if they watched Devil's Rejects as the first or even second film in his filmography. It's not one of those things that feels really great at the end of the day, but I would also say Devil's Rejects potentially has the most rewatchability from any of these. If you get through it one time and then go back and just realize how much is put into that movie, there is so much from a filmmaker perspective to genuinely appreciate on a level that is like, yeah, Zombie knows what he's doing here.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I think it's the one, you're right. Like, for whatever reason, people like, I mean, not for whatever reason, but like, it is weird to me that this is the one people resonate with, because it is the one that has the most off-putting stuff. I mean, the most off-putting scene of anything Zombie has done. And it may be one of the most off-putting things put to film, frankly. But yeah, like, it's the one that seems to be the one that has a cult following, just like Thousand Corpses does, but I think even more so. I don't know. I think it's because it's really hard to root against Sid Haig and Bill Moseley and Sherry Moon Zombie, because they are good as those roles. That's the problem.
They're at the top of their game in this, all three of them.
You put Bill Moseley as the lead. Like, look, Who else is casting Sid Haig and Bill Moseley as leads in movies? That's all I'm saying. And, Three from Hell exists because The Devil's Rejects exists. So maybe we can blame a little bit of Three from Hell on The Devil's Rejects' success, but The Devil's Rejects is a great movie. It's just not a movie that I care to rewatch frequently for a whole host of reasons. But I can 100% acknowledge how important it is and how so many people are probably going to be kind of, like you said, scratching their heads at what we're suggesting and what we're kind of talking about. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the reality though. Like, Devil's Rejects is the movie for sure.
It's again, it's pretty great. It's just not. It doesn't feel great as you're watching it.
It's like sure. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Like, it's that level of just like, by the end of it, I feel icky and I need to take a shower.
Yeah. And that's the saddest thing for me, honestly. I know that this isn't necessarily about unrealized projects or ideas or whatever. I understand lobbing hate against a director because you're pissed off that he remade Halloween. I just imagine a world where Rob Zombie's first movie that he bursts onto the scene with is a remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003 starring Jessica Biel. And he doesn't make House of a Thousand Corpses, and instead he remakes that, and it's amazing. And people are immediately in love with him as a filmmaker because that story would align with his taste and his style so much better.
Than Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look, that is like the fucking sad thing here, to your point, is that Rob Zombie never got to do a Texas Chainsaw movie. Like, what fucking universe are we living in where he had to create his own Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, essentially? Right. And, oh, by the way, Three from Hell comes out only, a year or two before the Texas Chainsaw movie with Fede Alvarez on Netflix? So, yeah, like, there was even still a chance for him to do it. Yeah, that feels like the fucking shame here, because Halloween is not a Rob Zombie thing, at least on the face of it. It's not pliant to his ways in terms, and like, even, look, we really haven't mentioned it. I think it kind of bears mentioning since we've talked about Halloween. John Carpenter, not a big fan of Rob Zombie, which is unfair to Rob Zombie because John Carpenter told him to go make his own movie and then he didn't like it. Well, John, what did you think the guy was going to do when you told him to go make his own movie?
John still cashed the fucking checks.
Exactly. And look, I love John Carpenter just as much as you do. I don't want to say anything bad about John Carpenter, but don't tell someone who makes their own thing to go make their own thing, and then when they make it, get upset, Kathleen Kennedy, at the guys who were making Solo, and then they fired him because it was too funny. What the fuck do you think Lord and Miller were going to do? Make a serious movie about how boring Han Solo is, like Ron Howard did? Like, I don't. That's what I don't get here. When you tell someone to do something and you know the way that they do it, and then you get upset that they did it that way, whose fucking fault is that? It's your fault, and you have no one to blame but yourself. And to your point, if John Carpenter didn't like it, I guess he shouldn't have just fucking cashed that check, guys. But he did anyways. And it made him a lot of money, because those movies were very successful. At least that first one was. Because on top of everything else, that movie came at a time and a place where there were not necessarily a lot of Halloween movies being made. It had been, at least 5 years? So Halloween was like, when that was announced, that was a big deal. Like, people were ready for Rob Zombie to make Halloween. And then they watched the movie and thought it wasn't going to be a Rob Zombie movie, I guess is really what happened. So, yeah, I'm curious how we answer the next question, because I feel like I don't know. I know what my answer is, but I'm curious where you come down on Rob Zombie's kind of addition to pop culture and how he affected pop culture, other than just being himself effectively.
Before we get into that, unless your answer for question 3 involves it, I think we should probably talk about the Munsters a bit, because we've glossed over it a tad. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, it does involve it a little bit. So, I mean, if we want to talk about it now, let's do it. I think the Munsters is the thing that you could point anybody at and say, go watch that. And then they would be like, who made this? Rob Zombie did. No, he didn't. Like, the only way you would know is if it's if you know Sherry Moon Zombie is his wife. Really. Because she's actually fantastic in that movie. And like, I'm not saying that because it's surprising. I'm saying that because you wouldn't think that she'd be able to play that role, because everything that she's done is not, I wouldn't say charming, but there is not necessarily the kind of charisma up until the point you've seen her doing everything else that Lily Munster needs. And somehow she nails it. Jeff Daniel Phillips, as Herman Munster, is insane that it works. Like, he's great. I don't know. I actually find the Munsters is my favorite thing that Rob Zombie has done. But again, like, it's the most un-Rob Zombie thing he's done. So and man, I was part of the roasting of that movie initially, but then I was like, the trailers for things rarely count for much of anything other than advertising. I do think that it would have been better if it was in black and white, only because I think that would have really leaned into the true to form of what we expect with the Munsters, but I enjoy it. I'm an apologist for the Munsters, so, fuck me doubly, I guess.
So the Munsters, I watched this for the first time this very week, and I'm shocked. This movie, I don't understand how this is hated by anybody that has seen it. I don't think anybody that hates this has seen it. I will say a few things here. The very first trailer that was released for this was fucking garbage. It looked like they recorded the audio from a cell phone 10 feet away from any of the actors and did not do any of the color grading on the film at all. And then it came out and it looks so much better. But again, why release that trailer that was so terrible? But the next thing, the biggest thing with this is the color is shocking in this film. It is a bright, bombastic film that you can easily get lost in the overwhelming smorgasbord of bright colors. That being said, I almost feel like Rob Zombie made this movie with the intention of it being seen in black and white. Like, obviously, I know that it works with all the colors, and he did lots to make it brightly lit and all the fancy colors, but I feel like it's one of those movies where if you put a proper color graded black and white on this movie is going to look amazing still. And I am shocked because there was not a single bad performance in this movie. Everybody that is in all of the Rob Zombie movies that he has here, Richard Brake playing multiple roles, like, everybody in this is just serving. They are incredible. The jokes land. The set pieces are overwhelmingly fantastic.
So much production design. Like, the production design of the movie alone is pitch perfect. And, like, again, like, the sets are insane. Like, they're real, practical sets that were built. And, yeah, like, I actually have a real bone to pick with anybody who didn't like the movie and hasn't seen it. Because if you've, like, even if you watch it and it's like, it's not my bag, like, okay, but don't roast something you don't have any fucking clue about just because, a trailer looked like literal dog shit. Like, one of the worst pieces of promotional material I've ever fucking seen, frankly. Especially coming from Universal Studios. Universal Studios. Purveyors of big budget films who know how to advertise things. It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah, this movie is really good.
Yeah.
I really hope people check it out because it is something that deserves a second look, and
deserves a first look. It hasn't even been seen twice.
I am so shocked that I enjoyed this thing so much, which is nice to see after considering, 31 and 3 from Hell were the last cliff notes on his filmography until the Munsters. So I'm glad I gave time to this. This thing it's worth it. This movie is great.
I told you it was good, man. I was like, you need to check it out before we do this. You owe it to yourself as a Rob Zombie fan. Because, like, it is nothing like everything he's made, but, like, it is. It's just, like, the very much toned down, toothless version of Rob Zombie, but that's okay. Because if you had Richard Brake doing things in the Munsters that he does in 3 from Hell, you'd have a lot of questions to ask. Also, and I hate to say this, but the Munsters might be the only thing I've seen Richard Brake in that I don't find him to just be immensely off-putting as an actor.
I get that.
Yeah, and I think like I'm not the only one. Let's just put it that way. I think he knows what his thing is and he knows how to lean into it. And good for him because there is a need for it in Hollywood and he fills that need rather well.
I agree. I think he's been in some stuff that I haven't hated him in. Like Black Dahlia, Hannibal Rising, Barbarian, technically, Batman Begins. Detention was really great.
Barbarian is, man, you and I would definitely disagree on an episode about Barbarian. Yeah. Who directed that? That's like a first-time movie, so we don't have an episode of his anytime soon.
Zach Krieger.
Yeah, that's right.
From The Whitest Kids You Know.
That's right. Okay, trying to do the Jordan Peele thing, eh?
Well, and he's got another one coming out. He just got like a first look deal, signed something for a huge sum of money.
Like I said, trying to do the Jordan Peele thing, literally.
Well, and I don't think Jordan Peele was necessarily the first. There's a lot of comedians that have been getting into horror the last however long.
Yeah, but I think Jordan Peele, that's a controversial opinion for another show. It goes back to David Gordon Green, who we clearly disagree on.
Anyways, I thought we should talk about the Munsters, but let's get to question 3 then. Question 3 is, what is the biggest impact that Rob Zombie has had on pop culture as a whole?
I think for me that this is maybe a fairly myopic answer, so maybe you as I think seemingly a little bit of a bigger Rob Zombie fan than me can maybe amend my answer, but I think for me the answer I have is introducing the wider horror audience and world to fantastic character actors like Sid Haig and Bill Moseley and a whole host of other people that really were just working in, bit parts, character actor parts in plenty of films since, Sid Haig's been working since, the fucking 70s. So
Earlier.
I think for me, that's probably the biggest impact is that he's really highlighted a whole lot of people who deserve to be highlighted for things that they've done and how good they are as actors. And similar to Tarantino and Scorsese and all these other directors who have their kind of roaming troupe of people that they can get on the phone and be like, hey, Daniel Roebuck, you want to be in the Munsters? Sure, why not? And look, I think that that's a good thing. I think that having kind of a cast of people who are very talented that you can rely on is a good thing. And I think that Rob Zombie, look, if anything, what Rob Zombie has done for pop culture is show that you can be a filmmaker, you can be a musician, and you can do both of those things rather well, and you can be known for both separately. Because Rob Zombie is known as a filmmaker and as a musician, not necessarily as like an and or. It's not an or, it's an and, really. He's a filmmaker and a musician. And I think that that's a big thing. Because again, like so many people are told, oh, you're a wrestler, you could never be an actor. Dave Bautista, John Cena. Not really much else, I guess. The Rock, I guess. But again, if we're talking about like dramatic acting, again, like The Rock is always The Rock. We're not going to do a Rock episode anytime soon.
No Hulk Hogan?
Okay, well now, yeah, no Hulk Hogan, correct. The less said about Hogan, the better. But I think that that's important, that you can be multi-talented as well. But I think for me, it's just, the answer is kind of maybe an obvious one, maybe the easy one, but definitely introducing the world to really fantastic character actors. And really, carving out his wife a special little spot in Hollywood all for herself, that she gets to make some really interesting stuff too, which, again, getting to be Lily Munster and Michael Myers' mom and a serial killing, crazy woman, and then Lords of Salem, I think that for me, it's kind of like a holistic answer, but I'm so curious to hear your thoughts on Mr. Rob Zombie's impact.
Really, I don't even feel the need to go into depth on this answer all that much, but I think when you are the director of a remake of a slasher classic and it gets a fuckload of attention, that is probably going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to be able to impact, because people are going to see it. People are going to either love it or hate it or both. People are going to write about it. People are going to talk about it. And in 10 years, people will probably still look at Rob Zombie as the guy that directed the Halloween remake, sadly.
It's not a bad thing, though. It's not a bad thing.
it depends on their feelings about it, because a lot of people hate it and, hate him because they hate that, which makes no sense.
To cop a phrase from our dear friend, mutual friend Andras, who hosts his own podcast, well, the world's just wrong, man. I think the world is wrong about Rob Zombie. I think that if you don't like you just alluded to, if you don't like Rob Zombie, you subjectively don't like Rob Zombie. That's fine. But he objectively makes movies that he wants to watch. I'm not saying they're good or... That's not even saying good or bad. I'm not making that distinction. Rob Zombie makes the movies he wants to make, which in this industry is a fucking achievement unto itself. Especially working... We alluded to it. He works in the studio system, for fuck's sake.
Yep.
Who's making movies that they want to make in the studio system anymore? It's a short list of people. But Rob Zombie is one of them. And that is crazy. But it's also something that should be applauded more than it isn't. Rob Zombie's never going to win an Academy Award. Not saying that that's a shame, but he should win one for achievement if he's never nominated. Because again, doing what he has done is impressive, to say the least, but I think it's something worth lauding, to say more than most people say about Rob Zombie, to your point.
Yeah. Well done. He's done a lot of great things that are just simply never going to be recognized, most likely. Deadly.
Right.
So that all leads to our fourth question. I think we've covered most of his films pretty in depth at this point. I love that we were able to talk about him. For this, though, what do you think is a cinematic bridge to Rob Zombie that other people, if they are a fan of them, they will like Rob Zombie films? And I feel like there's a couple obvious answers here, so I feel like you might try to subvert that and go a different direction.
This time around, I just wanted to be a little bit on the nose, because again, I think Rob Zombie himself is so bold as a filmmaker that not necessarily... I don't have to be like, well, if go on a tangent, because he is his own tangent is what it feels like.
Right.
If you are into 70s grindhouse films, if you're into grindhouse cinema and somehow you have never seen a Rob Zombie movie, first off, email us, because I want to know how that's possible, frankly. But secondly, House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. I mean, Halloween is a grindhouse Halloween movie. If anything, and we really haven't mentioned this, but Rob Zombie is making modern-day grindhouse movies, right?
Yep.
That's a fucking weird thing in and of itself, because grindhouse movies, part of it's the lack of a budget. Part of it is the lack of big actors. Part of it is exploitative cinema that features things that people aren't seeing everywhere else. Those three things I mentioned, two of those three things don't jive very well together, which is big budget and pushing the envelope as a filmmaker. Those two things don't go together. And then you actually have well-known actors in your stuff too. Rob Zombie is doing something that nobody else is doing, which is making modern-day grindhouse movies. So my only comparison here, realistically, in terms of the people I think are already seeing these things and are amenable to them, are people that are into 70s grindhouse movies, or if you're into 70s horror films, like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like a Tourist Trap, like movies that are kind of weird and subversive and exploitative. I can't be that subversive with my pick, because Rob Zombie's subversive enough as it is. He's not the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth person I would suggest to most people to watch. But if you're a certain kind of person... See, here's the thing. You and I are friends. We've known each other for almost a year now. I don't have to tell you to watch a Rob Zombie movie, because I know you've seen him. That's maybe the problem here, is in good conscience, suggesting someone sees a Rob Zombie movie is hard, so the people who are going to be amenable to it are already kind of in the world where I'd be surprised if they hadn't seen one already.
Yeah, and that's my response to people like that is usually if somebody hates Rob Zombie, which is that's the funny thing here too. It's never Rob Zombie's not for me. It's more of I watched X movie and I hated it. It was awful. And usually to stuff like that, I say, well, have you tried this one? A lot of the time I will say Lords of Salem, because it's not one that people think to recommend or think to watch, because all the marketing was Sherry Moon Zombie, and most people are turned away by that. But it is her magnum opus. She is amazing in that movie. So yeah, that is a tough thing to respond to, and the world is just fickle about Rob Zombie no matter what.
Yeah. But again, I don't think he'd have it any other way because I think he wants the people that resonate with his movies to watch his movies, and I think that they do already.
Yes, most likely.
Right? Like that's, again, like he doesn't have mainstream appeal, but I don't think he needs to. He doesn't want to. That's fine. Like not everybody needs to make a movie that's decided upon by 8 different committees to make sure nobody's offended. Like Rob Zombie, like you already alluded to, doesn't give a singular fuck. So there you go. Like, and there are, like you've also alluded to, there need to be directors who say, fuck you, I'm making my movie.
Yep.
So what's your answer then? I'm so curious.
My answer is, you're going to probably laugh really hard about this, is a middle finger to one of my favorite filmmakers. And I'm going to say, if you have never seen a Rob Zombie movie, but you love John Carpenter, you will probably love Rob Zombie movies. And I'm going to say this for many reasons. One, they are both two people that some of my favorite movies from them, they both wrote and directed those movies. That's not something that's all that common in the studio system. It's usually not that way, actually. And when you're looking at what they've done, they, especially for most of their movies, were looked down upon because they're in the horror genre. They were looked down upon by their peers. They were rejected by the studio in multiple times. They are people that have made movies that people have called sick and gross, even though John Carpenter stuff is like tame as shit nowadays, other than The Thing, obviously.
Comparatively even, especially to Rob Zombie, it's tame.
Right. And, you know, the fact that they both made a Halloween movie, the fact that, or multiple Halloween movies, the fact that they are so involved in music, and they are both musicians and also directing films is a big part of this for me.
That's true.
And I love both of their filmographies for different reasons, but I truly think that if you can look past a few things, there's a lot of stuff that John Carpenter fans could find to appreciate in the rest of Rob Zombie's filmography.
Do John Carpenter fans not like Rob Zombie because John Carpenter doesn't like Rob Zombie? Is that a thing?
No, I don't think that's why, but I think a lot of people that like John Carpenter do not like Rob Zombie because most people don't like Rob Zombie. Like, that's just as plain as it goes. I feel like this is going to be one of our least listened to episodes because people are just so turned off by him.
Pish posh. I mean, look, like we said, copying from our friend Andras Jones, the world can be wrong about Rob Zombie, and that's fine because, look, I'm not even the biggest defender of Rob Zombie, but I'm willing to defend an artist who makes the fucking things that they want to fucking make. Because you know what? If that doesn't exist, then we don't exist. And that's a fucking problem for everybody if people can't make the things that they want to make. And everything has to be an MCU movie decided upon by 30 different people. Because look, we got here again. Like we always get here. Because Rob Zombie was also in a fucking MCU movie. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Because he's friends with James Gunn. Duh. Because he was also in Slither and Super. Duh. As voice cameos. Because he's friends with James Gunn. That's the thing. That's the thing. If people like that get to stop making movies, then who else gets to stop making movies? That's all I'm saying, folks. You want to hate Rob Zombie? You're just hating people that are creative.
I can't believe we just got to the MCU through Rob Zombie.
I mean, it wasn't that hard. Like I said, he's literally in one of them.
I get it. But,
he's never seen really in the MCU. He's just heard in the MCU.
Anyways,
can you imagine though, by the way, if Rob Zombie is in an MCU movie, how wild that is, given the things that he's made and given how mainstream? Could you, you know what? Last question, random sidebar question here, but it's one that we've never talked about. Could Rob Zombie make an MCU movie?
I mean, I think Sam Raimi has proven that he can.
Right. Isn't that fucking crazy? That alone is crazy. I genuinely believe there's a universe where, and it may happen in this one, where Rob Zombie is given a Marvel movie only because they are trying now to do genre filmmaking. And who better to do genre filmmaking than someone who's worked in the genre filmmaking system since the first movie he made? I'm not kidding. Like, if the MCU is so hard up for things, if they're so struggling to find their way, and they've kind of shown that genre filmmaking stuff like Werewolf at Night can be popular and successful, and they're leaning on it more, then there is a chance that there are more directors like a Rob Zombie brought into the fold to shake things up. Because look, it ain't that far of a stretch because he's already been in one of the movies and he's friends with James Gunn. So maybe it's more likely that he makes a DC movie, like a DC
Literally,
After Dark.
I was waiting to say that. I think that's the most important thing that we can point out here is likely this could be like, could you imagine him making a Swamp Thing movie?
Or like a Justice League Dark movie, like yeah, anything like that. Any of the horror stuff in DC, bro, would be fucking nuts. And Swamp Thing alone, but like there's so much, like Marvel, not so much. Marvel Zombies, sure, but DC has so much of a horror tradition and so many of the characters that like I actually think that would be fucking amazing. I honest to God, like give Rob Zombie something in the DC universe, one of those elsewhere movies. Give him the fucking vampire Batman movie. Good God, I'd watch that in a heartbeat. Yeah. I mean, look, for me, while maybe Rob Zombie's movies aren't something that I want to like watch every day, he's always making interesting choices as a filmmaker. And for me, in a world of uninteresting choices being made, the guy making interesting choices is the one that I'm going to gravitate towards, me personally.
Well, I hope after this, at least, that you go back and watch The Lords of Salem and go, oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm on your suggestion alone, mind you.
It is that worthy.
You watched the Munsters on my suggestion, so I have to.
And adored it. Yeah,
I told you it's charming. It's so stupidly charming for a Rob Zombie movie. Like, yeah, give it. I mean, I want a sequel. Did you? By the end of it, you were like, I'd watch more of this, right? You were like, I'd watch another one of these. I'd watch a TV show. I by the end of it, I was like, just let Rob Zombie produce the goddamn Munsters TV show. Just do it. Yep. Cowards. They already have the sets.
All right. We did it. We got through Zombie. This is fun. This was a good episode.
This was a great episode. I love this episode. Put this episode, like you said, it might be a low listen episode, but this is one where I think what we're trying to achieve here with this show is being shown in spades, which is we are willing to go out of our way to make sure that we're covering all the bases, including people, like you said, reviled by the consensus of the crowd.
As Bill Moseley would say, fuck you, motherfucking gatekeepers.
Yeah, exactly. We need to get him on here. Come on, Bill. Come on down. Just tell everybody to fuck off for like 5 minutes.
How much do you charge to tell people to fuck off, by the way?
His cameos, I think, are like $100.
They're cheaper than that.
Oh, really?
They're only like 60 last time I checked.
Oh, nice.
Anyways.
Okay, good. Hey, you know what? If that's a thing, I guess we could get Bill Moseley to call our fans fuckers if that's something you guys want.
If we researched it and it was cheap enough, you'll find it at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
All right. Chris, where can the people find you?
You can find me over at weirdingwaymedia.com, where I have talked actually about a fair amount of the Rob Zombie movies. I think mostly everything at this point, other than Lords of Salem and 31, I think have been covered. And I guess the Munsters, we didn't cover it, but I've talked about it several times. I know. I see your eyes, and we should do it. Yeah, Weirding Way Media is you can go to find Culturecast and everything else I work on, but a whole lot of things I don't, like the award-winning 80s TV Ladies, The Projection Booth, which is the best movie podcast on the internet as far as I'm concerned, and a whole host of other things, including the audio version of this show, if you want to put us in your ear holes, not your eye holes. What about you, Ryan? Where can people find you and the things that you work on?
I try to switch these up every so often, so I will shout out patreon.com/disconnected. Over there, you can get access to one of the most accepting film groups in the world. You can get access to our Discord. It is an incredibly wholesome place to join with a bunch of people talking about physical media and movies constantly. We also, through the Patreon, we have access to things like the digital release of the Physical Media Advocate when that comes out every time. We've got access to some of my visual essays and commentaries that I do for some of these releases. I send out handwritten notes 4 times a year, limited edition merch. I do writing projects for people once a year, depending on the tier that you come in at. There's lots of different options, but we'd love to have you in there. Check it out. Patreon.com/disconnected. And as always on the show, we hope that you leave with this inspired feeling of going to check out something new that maybe you hadn't checked out before. And as you want to come back to our next episode, all I can say is please don't park in front of a dark house and be surprised if they try to kidnap you. Until next time.
Motherfucker.